Hi everyone, welcome back. This is our fourth section of these webcasts, and so after talking about counting the days from our physical redemption to our spiritual redemption, we can actually talk about what is our spiritual redemption, and so I would like us to focus on the holiday of Shavuot. You know that Shavuot in Hebrew means weeks.
Right.
But so that's one thing, but it also means oath.
Oath?
Yeah. Exactly. So Shvuah is an oath, and
Right.
Shavuot are basically
Oaths.
yeah. I can't say the th and s in the end of the word, but you can. So it's basically that, and it's quite interesting to think about. The holiday of Shavuot. The day in which we received the Torah as a day of oath.
Interesting.
Right? It's a day of oath. It's a day of a covenant.
Yes.
It's actually a day of oath. I mean, it really is.
Taking an oath before God.
Exactly. And also him taking before us as well. Because,
Wow.
he initiated the whole thing from the beginning. So that's the holiday of Shavuot. Now, that on the night of Shavuot, right? Because the Torah was given in the morning. It was given in the morning of the 6th day, okay, of the third month. Okay, so we basically and we actually have the same calendar up until today. So we know when to celebrate it. So on Shavuot, on Shavuot night, so basically the night before, in all synagogues, we actually stay up all night and we just study. We just study from the scriptures. So
Wow.
so there is an option of reading through the whole Torah.
Wow.
The whole thing, but not just the first 5 books, but you take basically a little portion of a few verses from each portion in the Torah and from each chapter in the prophets, each chapter in the writings. It's huge. And then you go and you take selected pieces from the Talmud and from the Mishnah and from everything, and then for dessert you get the chance to read all of the 613 commands listed in the Torah in one long list.
Wow. I remember
And
when
you do that for the whole night. It takes the whole night.
I remember when I lived in Jerusalem, I would see like posters up, how would they say it?
They would say Tikkun Leil Shavuot.
Ken. So
what's Tikkun?
fix like
Ken.
or fixing.
Yeah, like fixing or repairing,
Yes.
because we repair something in our soul by doing that.
Right.
Okay, so we bring back a new spirit.
In the different synagogues, there are things, or they've got well-known people that are coming and doing music as well, or
Well, not
like
with
that.
instruments, because we're not allowed to play on Shavuot.
Oh, okay.
But they might do like something just with singing, maybe,
yeah.
or kind of like worship, worship service, something like that. In between the sections of reading through the whole huge.
That's amazing. So will they do that here?
Oh yes.
Yes.
Here you mean like where we live?
Yeah.
Yep, they would.
Wow.
So we have lessons going on the whole night, and we read through everything. Basically, we take the whole thing, not just the Bible, but also the Talmud and everything.
That's really amazing.
And we take selected pieces and we read through them.
Right.
And that's basically a preparation for the next morning, because the next morning is actually the time where we actually got the Torah. This is exactly the time in history, but not just in history, also in the present, where God touches the mountain. He's sitting on the mountain. He's calling us from the mountain. And Moses is climbing up to bring the news. So it's really that moment. It's really that moment, and it's quite interesting that in also that Shavuot is that time having said all this about the oath taking place and the covenant. Shavuot, in all synagogues, we read the book of Ruth.
Yes, I heard about that.
And because for two reasons basically. First of all, the commitment.
Mm-hmm.
Right, there was a very strong commitment that Ruth is making, towards her mother-in-law, towards her people, etc. We know that.
And then there's the whole thing about the sheaf. The sheaves.
Right, exactly. So she's there. She's there in the field, and it's exactly that season. It's exactly that season of them collecting the new sheaf and storing them for 50 days, counting the days all the way to Shavuot.
Right.
And it was that. It was also that time exactly. So it fits very, very nicely. So in all synagogues we actually read the book of Ruth on Shavuot day. I would like us to maybe just to say something, because we for me it feels like I've said it millions of times back especially because we just came back from the tour in England and we spoke every night in a different place, and we got the chance to mention that, but just for the rest of the people who watch us, maybe we should say it again. We really have to ask ourselves, why did God choose to have a chosen people to serve that purpose of carrying that chosen word, okay, that very special word of his. And if we go to Exodus, Exodus 19,
right,
okay, let's go to verse 4, okay, or even let's go to verse 3. ומשה עלה אל האלוהים, ויקרא אליו אדוני מן ההר לאמור, כה תאמר לבית יעקב, ותגד לבני ישראל. אתם ראיתם אשר עשיתי למצרים, ואשא אתכם על כנפי נשרים, ואביא אתכם אליי. ועתה אם שמוע תשמעו בקולי, ושמרתם את בריתי, והייתם לי סגולה מכל העמים, כי לי כל הארץ. ואתם תהיו לי ממלכת כהנים, וגוי קדוש.
Moses went up to God. The Lord called to him out of the mountain, saying, Thus you shall say to the house of Jacob, and tell the people of Israel, You yourselves have seen what I did to the Egyptians, and how I bore you on eagle's wings, and brought you to myself. Now therefore, if you will obey my voice and keep my covenant, you shall be my treasured possession among all peoples, for all the earth is mine, and you shall be to me a kingdom of priests and a holy nation.
Now, there's a commentary. It's just a commentary. We don't have to take it, which we mentioned in one of the places where we were in England. There's a commentary describing that moment. Moses is going up to God, and we know that after the Mount Sinai event, Moses went for 40 days and 40 nights. So Moses is going up, Moshe is going up, and so God is sitting on his throne, and the Torah was basically just beside him, and Moses had to come and take it and bring it down after he sat with God and studied it for 40 days and 40 nights. And then when he basically went to take it, so angels came and they wanted to stop him from doing that, and they said, well, this is ours, it's not yours. I mean, it's been here in heaven ever since. We're not willing to give it up. We're not letting you to take it down. And then they came to attack Moses and say, you can't steal that from us, the angels. And then Moses was kind of like panicking, saying to God, will you do something? I mean, I kind of need your help right now. And God was saying to Moses, well, what's the problem? Just answer them, right? They have a question, they're saying something, just reply back. And then Moses basically said to them, he said, well, can you respect your mother and father? Or can you keep Shabbat? Can you circumcise? Can you build a tabernacle? Can you fast? Right? All these things that clearly clearly Torah was not meant to be placed in heaven. I mean, it was sitting there waiting to be given to a people who is willing to keep it. And when Moses basically told them all these things, they cleared the way, and he went to take it and came down. So it's and at the end of Deuteronomy, before Moses is when Moses is actually saying goodbye to the Jewish people, or before he died, he's one of his just towards the end, he says to them, it's not in heaven. Not in heaven it is, something like that. Lo b'shamayim hi. Rather, it is yours to keep. So you can keep it, you can do it, you can fulfill it. This is God's words, God's word to you, not to anybody else, not to the angels in heaven. I mean, this is for you to keep. You can do it. It's all about you. Sometimes, we look at God's word and we think so huge and massive, and I could never fulfill. I could never keep it. Into a full extent. But you can. I mean, if you couldn't, then it wouldn't be given to you from the first place. So you can and you should. So that's basically about the day of Torah coming down to earth. It did create an earthquake in the world. The world knew that something happened. Right after Mount Sinai, the Amalekites, right? They came to fight the Jewish people. They knew something happened. They knew that the world now has different standards of moral, right? Different morals right now. There is something to look up to, and they of course didn't like it, so they came to fight against it. They came to fight against God, but we can clearly see that the world knew. Ever since, the world knows that there is someone who carries something. And it's not just about us, because God is looking for a kingdom of priests and a holy nation. But of course we have said that on the Torah now in England, that the word holy in Hebrew is the core meaning of it is actually set apart, set aside. Something you set aside, which is different than the rest. Different than the rest. However, the whole purpose of it is to serve the rest. It is dedicated to something. And it's only something that this is a task that we were given for the sake of the world, not just for our sake, the Jewish people's sake. It really is for the sake of the world. Can I take you to another description? So there's another description here that I really like, but I just can't understand it. And as much as I try to study it and to read about it, I still don't get the whole meaning. This is Exodus 24, and so this is basically after Mount Sinai event. There was then like a portion talking about different laws that are included in the Torah. Okay. And then we basically come to a passage that kind of goes back to the Mount Sinai event,
right?
And basically explaining what was it that the elders and the priests and Aaron, what did they see there? Because we know that they did climb some of the mountain; they didn't climb all the way up with Moses.
Right.
I can't really explain it. I mean, I read it, I'm amazed by it, but I can't really understand it fully. But I do want to share it with you. So let's go for Exodus 24, verse 9.
Then Moses and Aaron, Nadab and Abihu, and 70 of the elders of Israel went up, and they saw the God of Israel. There was under his feet, as it were, a pavement of sapphire stone, like the very heaven, for clearness. And he did not lay his hand on the chief men of the people of Israel. They beheld God, and ate and drank. Wow.
They beheld God.
And they ate and drank.
Yeah. Well, out of joy and happiness, that's a good thing. But under his feet. Do we really understand that? sapphires. I mean, the
pavement of sapphire.
Yeah.
It's interesting because I read that and immediately my mind goes to the Book of Revelation, where there's a lot of very descriptive passages about heaven. There's a place where it talks about there being like a sea of glass before the throne, and it's a very visual picture. So this sort of reminds me of that, because under his feet, as it were, a pavement of sapphire stone, like the very heaven. How is it in the Hebrew where it says for clearness here?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uchetzem hashamayim, like the very heavens, latohar, of purity.
Of purity.
Purity.
Okay, like the very heaven for clearness, for purity.
Yeah, but we have it for purity.
Clarity. Interesting.
So, and they beheld God. Now, on the other hand, we know a man shall not see me and live.
Ah.
Right? But they beheld God, and he didn't. And in the verse says,
and he didn't lay his hand on the chief men of the people of Israel. They beheld God. It's almost this wonderful picture of living in his presence.
It's almost like a wonderful picture, like God is saying to them, just once. Just this once. Okay, just this once. I'm gonna let you.
Yeah.
And it's amazing. It's amazing to think about that. And this was not an individual it's not an experience of an individual. Mm-hmm. We're talking about hundreds of thousands of people.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'm every time I read this, I'm really, really speechless. How can we even understand that?
Yeah.
Like the very heavens of purity.
Right.
They beheld God.
It's so easy just to gloss over things. To read things and they just go by. And I think the amazing thing is you as a people that value the Torah so highly and study it so intensely, that we might just kind of read that and it just kind of whoop. Okay.
Well, everybody, by the way, not just you. With us, it's the same. We read every week. We have the weekly Torah portion, so we do have a tendency sometimes. It's like the cantor is basically reading it. We're following with our eyes.
Right.
We don't linger on the words, and if you don't dedicate the time to actually stop and study,
yes,
and get and like compare, that description with that description, and see the differences between them, and try to bring new things, new insights from these differences, then you're not going to enjoy the richness. You're not going to gain the richness,
right.
And that is quite of.
On Shavuot. Is there a tradition in Judaism to wear white? Mm-hmm. It's interesting because there's a tradition also in the church to wear white on Pentecost.
So there's a tradition to.
Well, there is in traditional churches.
Maybe you are grafted in. But there is a tradition of wearing white because white, is and like the very heavens of purity, so it's a symbol of purity. And there is also a tradition to eat dairy products. It's the holiday of cheese. Yeah, for someone who doesn't do dairy, I know it's not the best day for you, but because in Song of Songs,
yes,
in Shir Shirim it says Dvash v'chalav tachat leshonech, milk and honey under your tongue. But I don't know. That's how it is in English. So we actually take that verse as a hint of the word of God. Dvash v'chalav tachat leshonech.
Yeah, beautiful.
So these are the things which we actually carry in our mouth. These are the things we need to be talking about all the time, and to raise our children having that as well.
Yeah, there's an old song that we used to sing. Your word is like honey on my lips, your spirit like water to my soul. Your word is a lamp unto my feet. It goes on. It's a beautiful description of that. I have one very special memory of Shavuot. One year I was here. Actually, my daughter was visiting me, and we went down to the wall, to the Western Wall, and I've never experienced anything like that. It was absolutely packed from, especially on the men's. Well, it's packed on both sides, but on the men's side, and there's this sea of white shirts, and everyone's singing, not necessarily all together, but there was so much life and energy. You could almost cut it in the air. It was the most. I've never experienced anything like that before. It was an amazing thing to watch. I'm very sad not to be part of it.
Well, you were part
to
of
watch
it.
But
so they beheld God.
They beheld God.
What do you want to sing?
I want to sing a song that's it's actually my newest song, and it's called "Show Me Your Face," and because I think we long to see Him. And I think He shows us His face in many different ways. But in those moments of worship, when you are already set apart for Him at that moment, and you're looking to Him, and you're just saying, "I just want to see just a glimpse, just a glimpse," As the deer pants for the water, so my soul longs after you, oh God. My soul thirsts for you, for the living God. When shall I behold you? Oh, show me your face, Lord. Show me your face, Lord. Show me your face. Oh, show me your face, Lord. Show me your face, Lord. Show me your face. I know you said we cannot see your face and live, but just a glimpse is all I'm asking for. In the darkness, when it seems as though we're here alone, we need to know your presence will never leave us. Oh, show us your face, Lord. Show us your face, Lord. Show us your face. Oh, show us your face, Lord. Show us your face, Lord. Show us your face. Show us your face. So we've come to the end of our 4 weeks, and I guess we're going to have to take a little bit of a break, aren't we? Because David's off to England, I'm off in July to Canada, and
I'm off to having a baby.
Yes, good luck.
Thank you. So even if you were here,
it wasn't going to happen. It's not going to happen. So we'll have a little break, so you can catch up on the webcasts and think about coming and joining us in the fall. This is really I can't emphasize enough how special these Now Weeks are. They're certainly extremely special to us, and it's like watching God doing something. It's not even a program that we plan it from beginning to end. Yes, we know who's going to come and meet with us and stuff, but there are just moments when things happen and you just kind of go, only God could have done that. And so I just want to invite you to come be part of the adventure. Come and be part of the.
Come be part of the family.
The family, that's true. Yeah, join the Now family. So really, October 30th, November the 6th. If you want to stay for an extra 3 days, you can stay on with me, and we visit some other places in Israel, and check it out. Check it out on the website, and register now. You don't have to pay anything right now, but register, and then
we'll try to maybe, because we don't have the webcast, so we'll try to put some different stuff on the Facebook page, just to keep everybody posted, and have like new things coming up.
Yes, Gil can start writing posts again.
Yes, Gil can start do that.
Right.
I'll do it from labor room. I'm gonna write posts.
It'll be great. It's all going to be good. So we need to all be praying for Gil and especially for Leah in this birth, and just that all will be well, and that to just bless his family and the children and all that's coming up. So
Amen.
Bless you all, and we'll see you in a couple of months probably. Bye.
Bye.